What is Trump's plan to run Venezuela exactly? How long are we going to be there? How many of our people is he going to send? Who is even in charge? And how, Mr. President, are we paying for this? There are no serious answers. The only thing we do know is why Trump is doing this, for oil. Because this clearly is not about ending tyranny and establishing a democracy, since Trump outright dismissed any possibility of helping the opposition party to build a true democracy. And it's clearly not about drug trafficking. After all, not even a month before this, President Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of the same crime. But the real reason, it's so painfully obvious, this was always about the oil. Why? Well, it's pretty simple.
A rare moment of raw anger and urgency filled the Senate chamber as Senator Patty Murray of Washington delivered a blistering warning about President Trump's actions in Venezuela. Her message was unmistakable. What the administration has launched, she argued, is not a limited operation or a clever workaround, but an act of war carried out without Congress, without transparency, and without a plan. If you want reporting that breaks down moments like this and explains why they matter beyond Washington, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss what comes next.
Mr. President.
Senator from Washington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I am beyond outraged that President Trump would commit such a brazen act of war as he has done in Venezuela with absolutely no notice, except to the oil companies they told newspapers they leaked it to, no consultation with Congress, no legitimate justification for these unauthorized strikes, nor any kind of serious long-term strategy. It is unquestionably an act of war to invade a foreign nation, kidnap a foreign leader, even a dictator, and leave dozens of bodies, including civilians, behind. Would my colleagues still nod their heads and go along with it if a country tried to do this to American leaders? Of course not. So we should stop playing dumb. Trump can't just say magic words and pretend this wasn't a major military operation. This is the United States Congress, and we have a constitutional role to be a check on the president. Only Congress can declare war, and Congress did not authorize the use of force against Venezuela. Now, I opposed the war in Iraq from the outset, and the parallels to what President Trump has kicked off in Venezuela are glaring. And I absolutely will not support any large-scale military conflict in Venezuela or a dangerous and expansive occupation. We have a president ignoring the problems he has caused in our own country, all to start a war no one asked for, with no legitimate justification, no concern for the service members who are being put in harm's way, and absolutely no long-term strategy. Seriously, the only thing that was clear after the briefing yesterday is that Trump has no serious plan. First, Trump was just bombing alleged drug boats. Then Trump was just seizing oil shipments. And the next thing you know, this administration is sending the military to abduct a foreign leader. So I have to ask, what is next, and where is next? How far is this going to go? Because it is clear that this is not over. Not when Trump keeps saying he will run the country. What is Trump's plan to run Venezuela exactly? How long are we going to be there? How many of our people is he going to send? Who is even in charge? And how, Mr. President, are we paying for this? There are no serious answers. The only thing we do know is why Trump is doing this, for oil. Because this clearly is not about ending tyranny and establishing a democracy, since Trump outright dismissed any possibility of helping the opposition party to build a true democracy. And it's clearly not about drug trafficking. After all, not even a month before this, President Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of the same crime. But the real reason, it's so painfully obvious, this was always about the oil. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. Trump keeps saying it. He literally said, and I quote, "The difference between Iraq and this is that Bush didn't keep the oil. We're going to keep the oil." That was the president. Is this America first? Of course not. It's big oil barons first. It is billionaires first. It is Trump first. First to rake in profits, mind you, not first to put themselves in harm's way. And you can bet when Trump says he's not worried about boots on the ground, it's because he's not talking about his boots. He's not talking about his kids. He is talking about yours. Congress cannot stand by and shrug our shoulders. We have a constitutional responsibility here. It is important that a majority of senators voted to rein in this president's reckless actions. But if we want to put an end to this warmongering, we need to keep pressing until we have a veto-proof majority. Today's vote is not the end of the line. So I urge all my colleagues to join us in asserting our authority and continuing to send President Trump a simple message: no American boots on the ground, no trading blood for oil, no war. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Murray began by condemning what she described as an unauthorized military strike in Venezuela, saying Congress learned about it only after the fact, while oil companies appeared to receive advance notice. She said there was no consultation with lawmakers, no legal justification, and no serious long-term strategy. In her view, invading a foreign nation, abducting its leader, and leaving civilians dead behind cannot be explained away with wordplay or press statements. She posed a direct question to her colleagues. Would Americans accept this kind of action if another country carried it out against U.S. leaders? Her answer was clear: of course not, and she warned that pretending otherwise erodes both international law and America's own constitutional system. If understanding how war powers actually work matters to you, take a moment to subscribe now. Murray reminded the Senate that the Constitution gives Congress, not the President, the authority to declare war. That role, she argued, is not symbolic. It exists to prevent exactly this kind of unilateral military action. Congress did not authorize force against Venezuela, yet American troops and resources are now entangled in an escalating conflict. She drew a sharp parallel to the Iraq War, a conflict she opposed from the beginning. Once again, she said, the country is being pulled toward war by a president who offers shifting justifications, ignores long-term consequences, and shows little regard for the service members who will bear the cost. According to Murray, the administration's explanations have evolved rapidly and dangerously. First, it was about stopping drug trafficking. Then, it was about seizing oil shipments. Now, it has escalated to sending the military to capture a foreign leader. Each step, she warned, raises a more alarming question: what comes next? And if you want context like this every time major decisions are made, be sure you are subscribed. Murray focused particular attention on President Trump's repeated statements about running Venezuela. She said those words demand real answers. How long would U.S. forces stay? How many troops would be deployed? Who would be in charge of governing a foreign country? And how would taxpayers pay for an occupation that no one voted for? In her view, the absence of answers is not accidental. She argued that the true motivation behind the intervention is oil. Murray pointed to the president's own words, recalling his statement that, unlike Iraq, this time the United States would keep the oil. To her, that quote stripped away any remaining pretense about democracy or humanitarian concern. She dismissed claims that the operation was about drug enforcement, noting that just weeks earlier, the president had pardoned a foreign leader convicted of running a narco-state. She argued that this contradiction exposes the hollowness of the administration's justification. If you appreciate reporting that connects rhetoric to reality, subscribe now so you stay informed. Murray framed the issue in deeply personal terms. When the president says he is not worried about boots on the ground, she said, he is not talking about his own family. He is talking about the sons and daughters of American families across the country. Those families, she warned, deserve honesty, accountability, and lawful decision-making, not reckless escalation. She praised senators who voted to rein in the president's actions, but emphasized that symbolic resistance is not enough. To truly stop what she called warmongering, Congress must continue pressing until it can override a veto is necessary. Her closing message was simple and forceful. No American boots on the ground, no trading blood for oil, no war. This debate is far from over, and its outcome could shape U.S. foreign policy for years to come. We will continue to follow every development. If you want clear, grounded explanations of what is happening and why it matters, make sure you are subscribed before you go.